Okay, you may have been wondering what is a node and what is a cluster in Elasticsearch. Today we are going to elaborate on these concepts. So, nodes are essentially an instance of Elasticsearch. Every node is a new instance of Elasticsearch which you can either run on one machine or on a virtual machine. So, every node can be run in a different machines or on a same machine. The cluster, on the other side, is a node container. So we may have multiple nodes, and you may ask how Elastic can find out which node to search for our query. So the answer is that every node in a specific cluster will be our reference to search for a specific doc, for a specific query. So essentially, cluster is a node container. And the next question is that how data itself is stored in Elasticsearch. So data is stored as JSON objects and inside an index. So as you can see here, an index named employees has a record inside the underscore source. We can see the fields. In this case, the fields is equal to 1. And inside the index itself, which is employees, as you can see here, we can see other metadata that is here, like mapping, aliases, settings, and etc. So the data itself is stored inside indices. Let's conclude what we said in this episode. So node store data that we insert in Elasticsearch, but the data itself is inside a node. So we insert the data inside a node and as a JSON actually, and the data which we call documents from now on are grouped as indices. So we put our docs inside the indices. The indices are inside the node, and a group of nodes will create a cluster. So you may have you may have this question that we created a sample data before in the previous episode. So what happened there? We didn't create any nodes, we didn't create any cluster. The answer is that every time that you create data with, of course, with the default configs in the Elasticsearch and Kibana, a node will be created and the doc will be inserted inside that node, and simultaneously a cluster will be created to actually contain that node inside of it, and the base and the default name of that cluster, as you saw in the previous episode that we tweaked some configs in Elasticsearch, the name of the cluster is Elasticsearch. Otherwise you can rename it easily. So that's it. I guess you now have an idea about nodes and clusters in Elasticsearch.